Napoleon Bonaparte's life story began far from the gilded halls of French power. He was born Napoleonic Bonaparte on the island of Corsica in 1769, just a year after the island was annexed by France. His family, while of noble lineage, was not wealthy. His father, Carlo Bonaparte, was a lawyer who struggled to provide for his large family. Despite the financial constraints, Napoleon's family recognized the importance of education. At the age of 9, he left Corsica for mainland France to attend military school. He first studied at the Brienne Military College, where he excelled in mathematics and history. However, his Corsican origins and relative poverty made him an outsider amongst his peers. At 16, Napoleon graduated from the École Militaire and received a commission as a second lieutenant in the French army. The young officer was now ready to embark on a military career. The French Revolution of 1789 presented Napoleon with both challenges and opportunities. He initially supported the revolution's ideals, seeing it as a chance to advance his career in a transformed France. His early service saw him caught between his loyalty to Corsica and his duty to the French army. Napoleon's first significant military success came during the siege of Toulon in 1793. The young captain, displaying a remarkable grasp of artillery tactics, played a pivotal role in recapturing the city for the revolutionary government. This victory earned him a promotion to brigadier general at the age of 24. Following the success at Toulon, Napoleon faced a period of uncertainty. He was briefly imprisoned for his association with Augustin Robespierre, brother of the infamous Maximilien Robespierre. However, his military reputation remained intact. In 1795, he was called upon to defend the government against a royalist uprising in Paris. His decisive action during this event, known as the Whiff of Grape Shot, solidified his position as a rising star in the French military. In 1796, Napoleon was given command of the French army of Italy. Tasked with confronting the Austrian forces in Italy, he embarked on a campaign that would cement his reputation as a military genius. His victories in battles like Lodi, Arcole and Rivoli showcased his strategic brilliance and earned him the admiration of his troops and the French people. The French Revolutionary Wars, which had begun in 1792, were transformed by Napoleon's rise to prominence. His victories in Italy forced Austria to sign the Treaty of Campo Formio in 1797, effectively ending the war of the First Coalition against France. However, this peace was short-lived. The Second Coalition, comprising Austria, Great Britain, Russia and the Ottoman Empire, formed in 1798. While the Directory, the government of France at the time, was preoccupied with consolidating power, Napoleon proposed a bold plan, an invasion of Egypt. He envisioned this campaign as a way to strike at British interests in the Mediterranean and disrupt their trade routes to India. The Egyptian campaign, launched in 1798, was a testament to Napoleon's ambition and strategic thinking. He successfully landed an army in Egypt and achieved early victories, such as the Battle of the Pyramids. However, the campaign ultimately ended in failure. The French fleet was destroyed by Admiral Nelson at the Battle of the Nile, stranding Napoleon's army in Egypt. Despite these setbacks, Napoleon returned to France in 1799, leaving his army behind, and seized power in a coup d'état, establishing himself as first consul of France. This marked the end of the French Revolution and the beginning of the Consulate period. Napoleon's impact extended far beyond the battlefield. One of his most enduring achievements was the creation of the Napoleonic Code, also known as the French Civil Code of 1804. Before the Napoleonic Code, France's legal system was a patchwork of regional customs and feudal laws. Napoleon sought to create a unified legal system for France, one that embodied the principles of the Enlightenment and the French Revolution. The Napoleonic Code enshrined the principles of equality before the law, freedom of religion, and the separation of church and state. The code addressed a wide range of legal matters, including property rights, family law, and commercial transactions. It established the legal framework for a modern, secular state and played a pivotal role in dismantling feudal privileges and traditions. Napoleon's aim was to create a legal system that was clear, accessible, and applicable to all citizens, regardless of their social status. The Napoleonic Code was widely influential, both within France and beyond its borders. It served as a model for legal reforms in many European countries, as well as in parts of Latin America and Asia. Even today, the Napoleonic Code continues to influence legal systems around the world. In 1804, Napoleon Bonaparte, already the de facto ruler of France, declared himself Emperor of the French. This act, ratified by a plebiscite, marked the culmination of his remarkable rise to power and the beginning of the First French Empire. Napoleon's coronation ceremony was a grand spectacle, designed to showcase the power and legitimacy of his new regime. Napoleon's reign as emperor was marked by a series of military triumphs that expanded French influence across Europe. He reformed the French army, introducing new tactics and organizational structures that made it the most formidable military force in Europe. His Grande Armée, renowned for its discipline and efficiency, achieved victory after victory, solidifying France's position as the dominant power on the continent. However, Napoleon's ambition and relentless pursuit of military glory ultimately led to his downfall. By 1812, Napoleon's empire stretched from Spain in the west to the borders of Russia in the east. However, maintaining control over such a vast territory proved increasingly difficult. Nationalist sentiments were on the rise in many of the conquered lands, fueling resistance to French rule. The Peninsular War in Spain, which began in 1808, became a quagmire for Napoleon's forces, draining manpower and resources. Napoleon's most fateful decision, however, was his invasion of Russia in 1812. The invasion was prompted by Tsar Alexander I's decision to resume trade with Great Britain, a violation of Napoleon's continental system. The Russian campaign was a disaster of epic proportions. The vast distances, harsh climate, and scorched earth tactics employed by the Russians decimated the Grande Armée. Napoleon's army, which had numbered over 600,000 at the start of the campaign, was reduced to a fraction of its original size. The defeat in Russia marked a turning point in the Napoleonic Wars, emboldening Napoleon's enemies. The defeat in Russia had severely weakened Napoleon's position both militarily and politically. His enemies, sensing an opportunity, launched a coordinated offensive against France. The Sixth Coalition, consisting of Austria, Prussia, Russia, Great Britain, Sweden, and several other European powers, converged on France in 1813. Despite a series of defensive victories, Napoleon's forces were outnumbered and outmaneuvered. The Battle of Leipzig in October 1813, known as the Battle of the Nations, resulted in a decisive defeat for Napoleon. Paris fell to the Allied forces in March 1814, effectively ending the First French Empire. Napoleon abdicated on April 6, 1814, and was exiled to the island of Elba off the coast of Italy. The Bourbon monarchy was restored in France, with Louis XVIII assuming the throne. Napoleon's abdication marked the end of an era. Napoleon's exile on Elba was short-lived. In February 1815, he escaped from the island and landed in France with a small group of loyal followers. His return sparked a wave of popular support, and he was able to rally many former soldiers to his cause. The period known as the 100 Days had begun. Louis XVIII fled Paris upon Napoleon's return, and Napoleon once again assumed control of the French government. However, the European powers were not prepared to tolerate his return. The Seventh Coalition was formed, and armies were mobilized to confront Napoleon once more. The Battle of Waterloo, fought on June 18, 1815, was Napoleon's final stand. Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo marked the definitive end of his reign and the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon Bonaparte's legacy is a complex and multifaceted one. He was a military genius who revolutionized warfare, a shrewd administrator who modernized France, and a charismatic leader who inspired both admiration and fear. His conquests spread the ideals of the French Revolution throughout Europe, challenging the old order and paving the way for the rise of nationalism. Napoleon's legal reforms, particularly the Napoleonic Code, had a profound and lasting impact on legal systems around the world. His military achievements inspired generations of soldiers and strategists, and his life story continues to fascinate and intrigue people to this day. However, Napoleon's legacy is also intertwined with the horrors of war and the suppression of liberty. His ambition and thirst for power led to countless deaths and untold suffering. Napoleon Bonaparte was a man of contradictions, a visionary and a tyrant, a reformer and a conqueror.